While Sammy Allen on the Lugia V-Star, we see the Dunsparce, the Manaphy, making its way back into this list, trying to play good and clean. 5-1 and 2 means that everything might not have gone his way, but still, when you're on a strong deck, you know that things can always fall into your favor, and maybe you can run away with the best of 3.
Listen, it's Lugia. As long as you're able to get set up, get that Summoning Star, get those 2 Archeops onto the bench, the sky's the limit, you know? You can do really anything. You could beat any deck with Lugia if you draw the right cards in the right way. And Andrew's going to have to try to stop that, playing the Mew VMAX like you said, but a very interesting inclusion in this list, a 1-1 Flying Pikachu VMAX. I was talking earlier with Chip in the lounge about what are Mew players going to do? We saw the Dreepy with Xander and all that, and Aerodactyl V-Star from before. Now we're throwing another VMAX into the mix with that Flying Pikachu.
You're already giving up a bunch of prizes. You might as well go all in. It's a card that if you can get it to line up in the matchup where you really need it, it's just going to do so much work for you. And at this stage of competition, players are looking for whatever edge they can find. They know that the competition is fierce. The players have practiced these matchups inside and out. If you can throw them a curveball, sometimes it can let you sneak a game in a best of 3, and that can be the difference between, as we're seeing right now, day 1 and day 2.
And that is what these players are trying to strive for. Is you can't win the tournament unless you make day 2. That's step number 1. And the winner of this match will do just that.
But first things first, Andrew's got to find a starting Pokemon. Here we go after the mulligan. We're started up and ready to go here.
Yeah, it was actually kind of funny. The mulligan that Andrew had was like Flying Pikachu VMAX, Double Turbo Energy, Boss's Orders. It really just looked like an Arceus deck for some reason. And now you're going to flip over that Mew V to start. If it wasn't round 9, it'd be a big surprise.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Flying Pikachu V finding its way into the prizes. Again, it's a 1-1 line. Means that Andrew's going to have to find that heavy ball to fish that out if he feels he wants to use it in this matchup. It's a lightning attacker. You want to employ it versus Lugia, but it all depends if the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, well, Mew is still Mew, does Mew things, and that's knockout Pokemon. And Mew can still win against Lugia in the first place, so yeah, we're going to hopefully see some great games here. Round 9, winner makes it into day 2. Loser gets to go enjoy Knoxville on Sunday.
But Andrew Mahone is not looking to enjoy the city. He wants the win, and in doing so, is going to open up with Battle VIP Pass, has Mew V in the active. Eyeballing another Mew V, going to take a chance to evaluate the prizes. Going to immediately see that Pikachu V is missing.
Yeah, but the hand is Battle VIP Pass, Quick Ball. I think that's a pretty good start for Mew, if I don't say so myself.
Indeed, indeed. Once the Mew players get set up, get all of the Genesect Vs down, it's just a matter of executing your game plan. With a strong start like this, Andrew might not worry so much about not having that Flying Pikachu V. It's just going to go and rely on the power of Mew, as you talked about, Jeremy. I think this deck really set the bar long ago for what a modern deck really needs to be tier 1, and it's just held on to that spot seemingly over and over again.
Listen, we don't like gatekeepers, but Mew is kind of that gatekeeping deck. If you can't beat Mew, you're not really going to do well in this tournament.
Yep, and even when they print, the most haterade card I've ever seen in Drapion V, and it's still hanging on here, it never gets bullied out of the meta, even when that card is at its most powerful.
And there it is, the full Monty on the bench. 3 Genesect V, 3 Mew V, and Fusion Strike System is going to be drawing a ton of cards for Andrew.
Sneaking the Pal Pad there, shuffling that supporter back in, very important for the late game scenarios. We know how Mew VMAX operates. They get set up, draw tons of cards, take 1 or 2 prizes, and then you're always keeping your opponent under pressure with the boss's orders to close out the game. Especially against Lugia V, it's super important to be able to hit those key targets when you need to. Sammy knows I have to go for double Archeops. No single Archeops shenanigans here for this player. And Andrew still drawing cards, popping off, even though so many cards have been played, so many cards have been drawn. Mew VMAX is not done. It's never done.
We do see 3 Mew VMAX off the top from that first Fusion Strike system, which is not what you want to see turn 1. There's very few cards that you can't play out of your hand to thin your hand down to Fusion Strike system. Mew VMAX is definitely one of those, especially when you start discarding them. It's going to be very hard to even attack late game.
So after the shuffle, yeah, just a Roxanne, a lot of cards, nothing going here, just double turbo. Okay.
2 double turbo. This hand maybe stalled out just a little bit here. And yeah, we're going to see the pass. Still great start from Andrew, and Sammy's going to have to pull together a great start himself.
Evolution Incense is probably one of the cards that's going to be the best option for that, to fish out an Archeops. Hopefully we have, the forbidden double Archeops, Ultra Ball play to really keep up with this strong double VIP pass opening from the Mew deck. Sammy going to take a moment to evaluate the prize cards here. As far as I'm aware, there wasn't anything too detrimental. There is one Archeops and the Evital in the prizes, so that can be a little bit difficult to deal with, especially if you just want something that can take 3 prizes off a Mew VMAX. You really want that amazing destruction. But for now, it's at least we've got to get the Archeops down. If that doesn't happen, then Sammy's going to be a sitting duck here.
It's actually pretty scary. The Evital is in the top of the prize cards, along with a powerful colorless energy, and those powerful colorless energies are so important when trying to take a one-hit knockout on a Mew VMAX. And if cards like Oricorio get thrown in, it could throw your math off pretty hard. But thankfully, at least for Sammy, Andrew is not playing Oricorio in this deck.
And the professor's research does get the Archeops down, but a couple double turbo energies finding their way into the discard pile makes the Evital even harder to evaluate. Sammy may be feeling a little bit better about making that tough decision simply because we want the Archeops to keep up from this board state, and we know the Evital is pretty much off the table. Stoutland V being discarded with the quick ball. This show is going to be all about Lugia V-Star as a main attacker, probably trying to get Raikou sprinkled in, get some damage onto the Genesect Vs, but getting double Lugia V also very, very important here if we can't get the evolution this turn.
Yeah, it is imperative that Sammy has that summoning star on turn 2, so you can just play the game. You get to use Primal Turbo to charge up your Pokemon that usually take a lot to charge up. Lugia V-Star, we've seen it attack very easily for the past 4 or so months, but that's only because you're able to charge up 4 energy straight away.
Yep, so it's just going to be a read the win. Discards boss's orders, draws a few cards. Over to Andrew Mahone. We're going to evolve, get these Mew VMAXs out of the hand, thin down for the Fusion Strike system. Double turbo attachment as well to the active Mew VMAX. All set up and ready to attack with a nice Techno Blast here. Maybe we can find a modifier to go along with this to get the knockout.
Yeah, that is step number 1 for Andrew. You already have your pretty stellar setup, and your opponent didn't really do much during last turn. They researched, read the wind. So now with just 1 damage modifier, like you said, that's 220 damage, enough to take the knockout, but more importantly, get rid of that choice belt on that Lugia V.
There was already a bit of an extension here by Sammy, pre-equipping the choice belt, equipping that heat fire, knew that it was going to be an uphill battle, just has to expend those resources with the heat fire going away. Again, Evital is completely out of the equation. This is one less option to use Radiant Charizard as a comeback mechanic. The way that it's playing out, Sammy's not going to have a lot of options as the game extends. He needs to have a much more explosive response to try to just wrench away Andrew's momentum here.
Andrew's eyeing down discarding 2 of the supporters in hand just to draw a few more cards with Fusion Strike system, and keeping that Cramomatic in hand just in case you draw an item card, something like that Battle VIP Pass that you can't use anymore. It's a good avenue to just get rid of those extra cards that don't do anything, and hopefully can find a Power Tablet or Choice Belt here.
Really thinking ahead. Andrew Mahone's been on this Mew deck for quite some time, knows the lines. It's just about the game and the draws lining up. And he finds himself now in a win and in scenario, feeling pretty comfortable here in the first game. And after the first Fusion Strike system, there's the Power Tablet. Cramomatic now, discarding the VIP Pass, the Jeremy Prophecy, and a Heads.
He should have 1 more card in hand, I believe. He said Fusion Strike system 4, but there's 6 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play.
Is he down 1? It happened earlier in the stream where it was just a quick fix, just draw 1 more card.
But now with the deck search, I
think he's realizing.
Yeah, because the Cramomatic and then the double turbo.
So
or wait,
maybe we can have a judge shuffle before the draw? Yeah. He's realizing now.
Like, I can't count.
He picked up the deck, and I think he saw the bottom card right before he searched. So maybe the judge can just shuffle, or they're going to let him draw one extra.
The card on top should just be the card in hand.
Yeah, okay.
All right, I think it's a quick fix yet again, but it is something to keep in mind. These things do stack up as the games go on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's still going to discard the Battle VIP pass with the cram.
And then
just
heads off the cram.
Making sure everything is okay with the judges. Everybody's caught up to speed here. Good catch, by the way, Jeremy. I didn't notice that.
He's like, oh, I get an extra card? This is amazing.
Mew VMAX getting tons of cards in hand. You can't stop it no matter what you do. All right, so now everything's good to go. Yeah, he's actually really angry at himself. I just got done saying how many reps he put in on this deck, and it's just a silly mistake. This is round 9. The players have been playing a lot today. Andrew's still having a good time on the table. He's a natural entertainer, loves to be on the stream.
And already had the power tablet off that Fusion Strike system,
right,
so has the knockout already. Is just setting up for the future turns here with this Cram-O-Matic. I think opted for the 4 Seal Stone, just a way to get out of something like Path to the Peak.
Very important to have those outs. If you're the Mew deck, you want to be in the driver's seat. You want to be the one establishing the path to the peak. But if your opponent plays one down to keep you from getting a key knockout or a piece that you might need, that's where things get a little dicey. So having that option is great. The ability to use 4 Sealed Stone under path to the peak is just amazing in its own right.
Yeah, and if needed, can also find a copy so you can get in play and stop the Summoning Star from Sammy.
Yeah, and with Andrew Mahone already taking the knockout here, the power tablet was already set up. It's just a matter of, okay, how am I going to plan for the next turn? 6, everybody knows now. Drawing 6 with the Fusion Strike system. Counting it out now, Sesame Street.
Yep.
Count to 6 cards in hand. Ha, ha, ha. And the Cram-O-Matic discarding the Ultra Ball. Wait, the Ultra... What's he going to discard, Jeremy?
The 4 Seal Stone.
Okay, I'm getting baited.
Oh,
Ultra Steel Stone, yes.
Yeah. Looks like Tails. Thank you, Andrew, for bringing it to the viewpoint for us. And now this means if Andrew wants Path to the Peak in play, we'll have to use that 4 Seal Stone to go fetch it out. You do have the Lost Vacuum in hand to get rid of it next turn. I think that's what he's going to do here.
All right, 4 Steel Stone is activated. Path being found. Just double checking the hand, making sure this is what you want to play. You've got the Lost City as well to bump that Path to the Peak in a future turn when you want to draw some extra cards. And this is something that these newer disruptive Mew decks really enjoy, is having the Path to the Peak down to bully the opponent and then taking it offline when they want to draw cards. You have your cake and eat it too.
It's crazy that Mew has become a deck that can do that.
Exactly. Before it was you would just draw so many cards more than any other deck was ever capable of doing. You just did everything you wanted at them until you won. And now you have the luxury of putting a little bit more brakes on and playing slower. This more reactive, disruptive style also forces players who maybe learned the Mew VMAX matchup way long ago to also reevaluate their own stance within this new meta.
Speaking of reevaluating the stance, Sammy's hand here isn't too good. A bunch of energies. You got a Marnie and a Quick Ball. Not real many options you can do. He's going to have to prey off of this Marnie here and hope something's good. You have Quick Ball to find something like the Pumpkaboo, but opts not for it.
No, he discarded the Pumpkaboo early.
Equip the Aurora, discards a mana.
He doesn't have the Pumpkaboo.
Cool art there for sure. Gets 5 new cards. We have to find a way to bump the Path to the Peak, and we need the Lugia V-Star.
Well, there's the Lugia V-Star, but no way to get rid of that Stadium card. And with that path in play, there's not going to be any attacks from Sammy this turn.
Tragic. Absolutely tragic to get locked out of your play. There is an Ultra Ball for the Pumpkaboo. And there's still 2 Archeops in the discard pile, right? It's from like an early research. So they're ready to go, right?
You just don't.
It's hard to say. There's at least 1 from that Evolution Incense turn 1.
Yeah, there was that big Professor's Research way earlier, discarded a couple double turbo energies as well. Even if the Archeops come through, there's a lot of energy missing from this equation as we go deeper and deeper into the game. Sammy's best bet, I think, is to just KO 2 Mew VMAX, but the resources just aren't there.
So it seemed like the Pumpkaboo was actually discarded with the Professor's Research turn 1.
Oh!
And so that's why we didn't see the Quick Ball search for it before the Marnie. And then that Ultra Ball there was looking through the deck like, I have no out to this path to the peak. And Andrew Mahone takes game 1, just playing 2 turns.
The classic lockdown. Such an explosive start. This is just one of the unsung properties of Mew VMAX. It's not that it draws a lot of cards, it has this disruption. It's that with the potential to have such a strong first couple of turns, you basically draw check your opponent. You say, okay, what's your hand quality like? Can you even keep up with this? Does it matter that you're under Path to the Peak? Even if you are able to get your Summoning Star right now, can you keep up with this draw engine? And it's a very heavy ask for Lugia V-Star. This is one of the decks that has that night and day almost. Do you get your Archeops set up early? Are you the one dictating the pace? Every Lugia deck that we've seen really lose on stream so far today have been these really awkward starts, and players have just gotten so good at exploiting that slow beginning from the Lugia deck.
Yeah, if you would say Lugia is the best deck in the format, after watching that game, I'd be calling you a liar, but...
Yeah, exactly. And again, the night and day, we'll see. Andrew Mahone, all the Battle VIP pass down at the bottom, and then with Sammy, we'll get the Archeops Ultra Ball turn 1. Maybe we can flip the script here. This is the win and in. Andrew's feeling so good here, taking that first game. Still 35 minutes left on the clock. Plenty of time, I would say, to even play out the full best of 3. And once you're in that 1-0 up position, you have 2 chances now to close this out.
At the jam.
Seems like a mulligan from Andrew, and thankfully it was, because while there's a lot of Battle VIP passes, 3 double turbo energy, and those cards are going to stick around in your hand for a while.
Yep, so we're going to get a nice deep shuffle then. Sammy Allen is ready to go, but the Pumpkaboo back in the prizes, not like this.
This is not what you want to see, especially playing against a deck that plays Path to the Peak and is available or able to get it out turn 1 basically almost every game, as long as you see that Forest Sealstone or at least some semblance of a setup.
And with Pumpkaboo in the prizes, there is no heavy ball. That means that we're on, what is it, 1 lost vacuum?
Yeah, 1 lost vacuum. You also got Lugia V-Star's attack. Tempest Dive does discard Stadium.
He played a Snorlax.
You need to get set up
fire in
this
deck.
Yeah, the manual attaching onto the Lugia V-Star is a sad state you never want to be in, especially versus Mew VMAX. And as we jump into game number 2, Sammy starting off with a Dunsparce in the active, going to put on the Capture Energy. Search for a basic here. Sammy's going to immediately see that Pumpkaboo is missing. This was the key to game number 1. He didn't have it when he needed it. Now sees that it's in the prizes and has to be incredibly precious with this lost vacuum.
And looking through the list, sometimes we see players play something like a Skyla or an Irida to be able to search out that lost vacuum, especially if you're playing 1 copy. No such luck here. Is just going to have to try to find it by good old drawing cards, like Pokemon intended.
Lumineon V being put onto the bench, going to search now for a supporter, setting up for the next turn. This list also not running any of the other techs that we've seen with like Professor Burnett. Just going to pick up the Professor's Research instead and shuffle down. This means that if Andrew does get the Path to the Peak set up turn 1, Sammy is still going to have options for finding those outs, finding those cards to continue with the Archeops.
The one kind of bad thing about this is now that Lumineon V is on the bench, a very easy knockout for Mew VMAX later on in the game.
And Andrew popping off now with the Battle VIP pass. After the Lumineon V was used and the Professor's Research was put into the hand, this kind of gives a little bit of information to Andrew. Okay, you're prepping for research. Do I want to just get rid of that with Judge? Shuffle that back in, maybe try to keep you on a dead hand. 4 cards would certainly be better than 7.
Yeah, the dream scenario for Andrew here would be to get your setup and then end with a Judge Path to the Peak. It's going to be almost impossible for Sammy to actually come back from that without just drawing the Lost Vacuum right then and there.
And there are some players that we've seen on stream a lot where you could almost bet that they could pull it off, but it's not something that happens all the time to try to get that lucky top deck to break such a terrible scenario for your list. MuV hitting the bench off the Battle VIP pass alongside Genesect V. Double turbo energy attached to the MuV, and now an Ultra Ball comes through, discarding 2 cards there. One of them is a Speed Lightning.
Yeah, Speed Lightning and a Judge, the Heart Gold Soul Silver art, and has another Judge in hand to go along with the Serena. So
Mercy
pretty
me.
stacked hand. You already have the Judge here. Now you just need to get set up and then end with the Path to the Peak, and this is exactly what Andrew needs to try to make it into day 2.
So after the Judge, Sammy, losing out on the Professor's research, Luminion V's hard work, all for naught. Now it's just a 2-prize liability on the bench, and it's going to remain there unless Sammy completes the setup in order to Primal Turbo to get the Aqua Return to take those prizes and shuffle them back into the deck.
Yeah, the thing is, though, if you're Aqua Returning against the Mew VMAX, you're not taking prizes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not taking prizes, you're going to be losing the game because your opponent's taking a prize basically every turn.
A lot of decks, they've got optimized for dealing with single prize Pokemon and Pokemon V-Star around that 220 to 280 mark. And then when Mew VMAX comes out with, 300 HP, is like, okay, try a little harder. Use those resources, why don't you? It's difficult for decks to hit that number. And if you miss a beat, the punish is monumental.
Another Battle VIP pass for Andrew. Completes the bench. All 4 Genesect V in play. That is a lot of cards to draw each turn as long as you can thin that hand down.
And with the double Battle VIP pass like this, Andrew hasn't needed to get cheeky with the Flying Pikachu tech. Is just playing standard good Mew, locking down with Path, is just enjoying this early momentum, and is just doing a great job of holding on to that advantage. Sammy's still sticking in it, though. Very valiant play, is playing to all the outs with the Luminion V, trying to prep with the research. Andrew just happened to have the Judge, and who knows, 4 cards plus 1 could be exactly what he needs. Maybe even a Rangaroo thrown in with the Primate Wisdom, see 1 more card. But for now, we're going to be seeing a lot more cards for Mahone. He's just going to keep drawing off the Fusion Strike system. Still lots of ways to thin down from this position, and he can top off this turn with a Path to the Peak, no doubt.
Yep, there's 3 outs to it in the deck. 1 for Sealstone is prized, so there's 1 and then 2 Path to the Peak. Not off that Fusion Strike system.
Just count to 6. We're going to Quick Ball here. Discard the other Quick Ball, maybe. Discards a Serena. Okay. Just drawing more cards.
Yeah, the one bad part about this is you're digging so far for that Path to the Peak. You're losing a lot of resources in that Serena, that Boss's Orders, the Judges that you're discarding. Now, there is a Pal Pad to kind of mitigate that as the game goes on, but
just the one.
The Path to the Peak is just so important in this position specifically. Like, you always want it when you go second against Lugia because you do not want them to break parity.
Second Quick Ball comes through. That's just going to be another search of the deck, failing the Quick Ball to shuffle. Just that's 4 cards now discarded from the hand. And Andrew is, as you already said, Jeremy, giving up a lot of late game reactivity and potential in exchange for establishing the early threat now. And I really love this read. It's a little bit more aggressive. And when you're in that win-and-in situation, you're already up 1 game. You want this to be a quick 2-0. No timeouts, threats, towards the end of the game. I love that he's just saying, I'm going to get the Path to the Peak.
And he does just that. The last Genesect V with its Fusion Strike system finds that Path to the Peak, and not much else. I guess a Mew VMAX for next turn, but there is exactly what Andrew wanted to do.
All right,
Lost Vacuum, though.
Lost Vacuum for Sammy. Again, Pumpkapoo's in the prize cards. That's the only out to get this Path to the Peak out of the way.
I think there's only a Bird Keeper in hand for Sammy, at least supporter-wise. And we can thin the deck out a little bit with Evolution Incense, maybe. Have you a little bit more percentage, even though however minute.
Yeah, Evolution Incense for Archeops, then Bird Keeper, but goes for the Bird Keeper first. Swaps Lugia into the active. 3 cards, make or break.
Oh, we're breaking.
Find some attackers, but can't get the path out of the way. Sammy's on a one-way train here to Manual Attachment Town.
That's not a town I like to
Going
visit.
up
That's the bad part of Knoxville. Manual attachment town. When you're Lugia V-Star, it's like the Prince and the Pauper scenario. You're riding high, getting all these energies accelerated out of your deck, and then bam, you lose it all, and you find yourself in the gutter, down in manual attachmentville. How could it have come to this on the winning end? This is where, if you don't have a strong mental, you can get really tilted. The game really starts to get away from you. You start to make silly misplays. Evolution Incense now looking through, finds the Lugia V-Star. This is why Sammy held the Evolution Incense before the Birdkeeper, was trying to see what the draws were before fully committing to fishing out the V-Star or the Archeops. And so now, with the Evolution here, we can maybe try to set up this Tempest Dive.
I'm not so sure.
Are there any even energies in the hand?
I think there's one powerful colorless energy, but you're not really going to be able to do anything with that here. Just a pass of the turn, and there's a Marnie for next turn.
Yeah, I almost would have liked to see Read the Wind again. But there's the Mew V Max. You can't leave a Mew V like stranded. You gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah, the thing with Read the Wind though, if Andrew did have the knockout, you're just stranded with no Lugia in play. And this Marnie's going to help out both players, honestly, because Andrew's hand was just all Pokemon, not really doing much of anything. Couldn't get the Genesect V out of the active spot thanks to that path to the peak.
Yeah, it's only running one switch. And you can't find it when you can't draw cards. So we'll see if Andrew Mahone's able to get this Genesect V out of the active spot.
Wow.
The good news is that even though the Genesect is stranded, the path to the peak is going to make it so that Sammy is still being kept under control.
Sammy found the lost vacuum, but there is no Archeops in the discard. And yeah, don't be fooled. This is Sammy's first attachment of this turn.
It's because Andrew passed right back immediately. Yes.
I'm blending your turns together.
Yeah, the turns start to run together here. Andrew's in a position where he's focusing a lot on his own plays and his own game plans, just losing a little bit of focus on the attachments and the evolutions there. But the capture energy is valid.
Might see something like the Oranguru here, or just a fail, because you still need those two bench spots, but you need something.
Yeah, I think there's still only one Archeops in the discard pile, right?
There's
zero. Two.
Oh, no. That's another thing that you've got to track as well. And the Lugia V-Stars here, we've got the Lost Vacuum in the hand. You still need a card to discard for the Lost Vacuum to send it to the zone.
Oh, the Guru's in hand.
Just has to pass back. The time just isn't right to get this path to the peak down without the Archeops there and available. Sammy might be able to lure Andrew into a false sense of security, and if he's also in a bad spot with the path to the peak and after that Marnie, might be draw passing for a couple more turns, give Sammy some time to claw back into the second game. The goal is almost completed. It's so close. It's just a matter of Andrew, no. He deigns to bump the peak himself and open the floodgates. Cram-O-Matic's going to start off here. Heads.
Yeah, Andrew had the escape rope to get the Genesect V out of the active spot, but you do not want to push that Lugia V-Star to the bench, especially when you're bumping path to the peak for the turn. You want to take the knockout on the active as soon as possible, so you mentioned the one switch. Other than that, it's going to be a double turbo energy retreat, and we're going to need to see a few damage modifiers to take the knockout. I believe 3 of them, and I know there's a Choice Belt in hand, I think.
Okay, Choice Belt. Forest Steel Stone still also part of this equation to help find a power tablet. And with all of these Genesect Vs ready to go, 4 of them, it's going to be a lot of draw power, a lot of thinning to find those modifiers. If Andrew can put it all together, Jeremy, Sammy's going to be left dead in the water. He can definitely run away, close out this best of 3. There's one tab.
Yeah, it wasn't the Choice Belt, it was the power tablet. Andrew found the Choice Belt with the Cram-O-Matic, and these 5 cards are going to be pretty big. Needs an item, and all right, found a couple. All right, 2 chances, Cram-O-Matic, to try to find that power tablet, and 3 Fusion Strike systems, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah, just the Ultra Ball there, discarding 2 Mew Vs, getting the hand down even lower. You've got so much card draw available before you're even forced to do anything drastic. And Andrew could go for the Cram-O-Matic right here, because even if it fails, that's 2 more cards out of the hand. Cram, discarding a Cram.
And there is the heads. So still needs a way to retreat along with the damage modifier here. So grabs that Forest Seal Stone. That is a way to kind of go, all right, well, I need 2 cards. I'm going to draw into one of them. And as long as I do that, I can search for the other one.
It's so good to have the Forest Seal Stone. That half of a star birth, you need to put these very pivotal turns together. It's all up to Andrew just to execute on this in potentially this second game.
And if this happens, I think we're going to see a big scoop from Sammy. There's not really much coming back from this. And wow, doesn't even need the Forest Seal Stone, has the switch and the power tablet. The Lugia V-Star is going to get KO'd here.
But not after more fusion strikes, right? More drawing cards. What are we thinking? Just going to go for the knock here?
I mean, you got him. You might as well.
It's hard to say, you know, is he actually going to scoop? Do I just keep drawing more cards? Just running the numbers one more good time. Especially after, you know, missing out on drawing that card in game number 1. For game number 2, we're going to double check the numbers here.
Some quick maths.
Quick maths indeed. So we got Pal Pad putting the boss's orders and the Serena back in. Even though Andrew is in a commanding position, about to take an incredibly important knockout, still planning for the later stages of the game. This is going to be a big techno blast here.
All right, Sammy's only hope is Andrew just announces the wrong attack with cross fusion strike.
Drawing 4. Still cooking. Has the Flying Pikachu V and VMAX. Gets rid of both of them. Don't need them. Never needed them. Mew VMAX running away with this one. The deck is so thin at this point. He's enjoyed an embarrassment of riches, an embarrassment of card draw, and now just has to reach out and grasp victory. One more Fusion Strike system for 3.
And finally, Andrew will take the knockout on that Lugia V-Star. Sammy promotes the Dunsparce. And
this is looking rough. We know the boss was just shuffled back in. Sammy can try to bench another Lugia V desperately at this point, but even getting that evolved and getting the Summoning Star just isn't the right time. Sammy had the Lost Vacuum, could have maybe pulled it off last turn, but there was no Archeops available. So that's the other side of the coin. You can have the Summoning Star available with no Archeops, or have the Archeops there, but you can't Summoning Star to get them out. So many things have to line up for Lugia, and they make it look easy, but it's just a pass.
Should have attached and rolled out.
Missed 30 damage.
Yeah, and that's going to be the only chance for damage, it looks like, from Sammy this game. Andrew is running away with things, even with that Chromatic Tails.
Yeah, and ironically, with 4 prizes remaining, you still would have to do a lot of work against this bench just to keep the prizes running. This version that Andrew is on isn't on Echoing Horn or anything, so there's a lot of single prizes that still need to be cleaned up.
Hey, if my opponent doesn't have Lugia V-Star in play, I'm A-okay with that. I'll take as much time as you need, as many knockouts as you want.
Yeah, amen to that. Just shooting fish in a barrel, as they say, right?
Yeah, Andrew still needs to find a switch out, essentially. Needs to reset that Mew VMAX in the active spot.
Very true.
Double Turbo Energy would do just that, being able to attack with the benched one. And
then we could just maybe escape rope?
Yeah, I mean, why not? Let's do it.
Because, you know, the prizes are going to come. And it's just, you just wait a couple turns, try to get your double turbos down for the second Mew VMAX. Andrew's checking the discard pile, just seeing where those energies might lie. There is one in the prizes.
Listen, Andrew's trying to go get dinner tonight. He wants to finish this round out real fast. There's the boss's orders on that Lumineon V. So this is another 2 prizes with an attack from that Mew VMAX.
All right, so draws into the judge. Just going to retreat here. Resets the Mew VMAX. So now it can Techno Blast once again. 2 more prizes taken. He did find that double turbo energy as well. Also of note, Andrew hasn't used the Forest Seal Stone yet.
I do believe that he didn't find the double turbo just because the prizes kind of shuffled around with the heavy ball.
Oh, ooh, interesting. Okay.
You'd be saying all kinds
we'll
of
get
stuff.
eyes on that. I'm looking at the old prize map. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
it's still in there.
In there.
Cheeky.
Come on, roll out. I want to see the rollout, Sammy.
We saw Scratch before on Sableye. This is, we're in rare attacks.
Roll out.
Roll out. Mysterious nest. Roll out. Colorless Pokemon have no weakness. Okay, I'll stop. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm writing up my letter of apology right now.
Make it a resignation.
You started it. But he's going to roll out and have to roll up this game. 2 prizes left. 2 Mew VMAX there. The power tablets are there. Genesect V now stranded in the active. We just have one more escape rope to find. Some way to get this out of the active. We should be good to go, right, Jeremy?
All right. There's 2 double turbo in the deck. Andrew just needs to draw into them. I think the escape ropes are gone. The switch is gone. And you're going to need to use those last 2 double turbo energy to really seal things up here.
So did he use, speaking of seal, did he use that seal stone? And I'm just misremembering?
No. Did not use it. Remember, the power tablet and the switch were drawn off that last Fusion Strike system.
Yeah, so it's just seal stone to find the double turbo, then attach retreat.
Yeah, but that's next turn,
Yeah,
you're going to try to draw into it right now.
It's one prize either way. And then you can save the forest seal stone for boss or whatever. Or escape rope, right?
Well, all the escape ropes are gone, so...
Already?
Yeah.
My goodness. And the switch.
We're going to see double power tablet here to draw 1 card with Fusion Strike system and hope it's the double turbo energy. You can Lost Vacuum your own Lost City, which might be a great play here. Or the big Paracel, too.
Lost Vacuum. Just bumping the Lost City. Sending that Roxanne to the Lost Zone.
3 cards, 5 in deck, as long as it's not the last...
Are you going to deck yourself out?
Last 2 cards, you could still do other stuff. There's that double turbo, both of them in hand now.
Quadruple turbo. There's the attach and retreat into the Mew VMAX. We can just use Max Miracle now to knock out the
rollout dream is gone, Adam. I am sad.
After I wrote those fantastic lyrics for everyone's enjoyment.
I know, right? Oh, such a shame. Oh.
But now it's up to Radiant Charizard to 6v1 here. Get all the prizes right now. Giga Combustion Blast. Wild Style Draft Beyond Blast.
And there is the concession. Andrew Mahone punches his ticket into day 2 with Mew VMAX Flying Pikachu VMAX. Basically playing just a 58-card deck most of the rounds.
Sick plays, sick decks for the man with the sick jacket. Getting into day number 2 with that win and in. Very clutch. Even though he was in such a great position in both those games, it took a while to work through